With over 400 celebrity interviews and tons of pop culture nerdiness, Too Opinionated is a safe haven for your inner geek. Find us at meistercon.com or on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod. And please subscribe. It would really help us out. Thanks, everybody.
Is the background?
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
Good? Okay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. So excited. Today, I've got actress Nishi Munshi with me. So welcome, Nishi.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, we were talking off camera about lots of different things, but I was so happy to get you to come on the show. I think you're such a good actress, and I know you do other things too, but your acting's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I've been enjoying you on Mayor of Kingstown. I'm kind of curious, though, why your family doesn't just leave the town.
We've had these discussions, and I couldn't tell you, if everybody just listened to me.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the skill sets would transfer to other places that aren't so dangerous.
Sure. Well, the beauty of that tension, which I started to pick up, I think from the middle of the first season, it creates a really cool tension where you know the loyalties and how they're how they play out with the family, and it creates a sort of Kingstown is a being to me in the story, and I don't see it as a city. It is this living, dark hole, and I see why the family that I have married into is so rooted, because that loyalty is intertwined with this entity,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but I mean, the series starts out with a bang. You that first episode was pretty rough. Great, but pretty rough to get through. And you're thinking you're watching one show, and then it goes in a completely different direction. So it kind of catches you real early, but it also gets you invested into the show.
Yes, we hope so.
Oh.
We hope people are invested. But that's the beauty of, I think, one of the things that really attracted me to the audition sides was exactly what you said, that there's so many, it's such a big cast of amazingly talented people.
Loaded.
And the way that, Hugh and Taylor, Hugh Dillon, one of our executive producers, and Taylor Sheridan, he's out there and he's a champion and he's just doing so many great things. They're wonderful about weaving in so many different storylines and just giving you that bit.
Yeah.
And it left me in a place where, reading it before the audition, it's like, well, what's going to happen next? And that's not always, not always the case. You're not invested in every script that comes across your table.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. Have you heard about a new season? Will you be getting a season 3 at some point?
No, I haven't heard. I haven't
either.
Yeah. No.
They normally call me too, but nothing.
Oh, you haven't either. Okay. Well, maybe we can tag team. If I hear, I'll shoot you a message, an email or text, so you can shoot me one.
Have you heard from Jeremy? Is he recovering?
Jeremy is recovering. It's so odd with the amount of action that man has done on shows, and and just on Mayor of Kingstown, of all things, for it to be such a wacko accident. But no, he's great. He's a champ. He's been doing this for so long, and I think he's working really hard.
I'm sure.
To get better, but his inner self, from what I gauge, he has a great sense of humor about life.
Yeah.
So I think that can help people recover a lot quicker. He's still doing better.
I mean, those type of accidents are just kind of freak accidents, kind of like a car accident. It's not like you plan it; it just happens. And then after the fact, you're like, "What what did I do?
Yeah, it just happens. And
Yeah.
he's a great dad, he's a great actor, he's a great boss, he's a great, so there are a lot of people rooting for him to just have a safe, slow, good healing
That's right.
recovery.
Yes. Yes. Take his time and come back in good shape. But that's good. I had heard that he was doing well, but
yes.
Yeah, that's terrific. So let me back us up a little bit.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about what got you started into acting, because I think it's kind of a unique journey, because you had the whole family situation early on that kind of got you in front of people, in a few different ways. But talk about that a little bit and what made you want to become an actress.
What made me? I think that it has evolved over time. I wish I brought the book up from downstairs. To be honest, I remember sitting there. I was studying for my LSATs.
Yeah.
Was gonna go, do the law thing, and I did enjoy that work in college and when I would intern.
That's not a bad fallback.
No, not. It's a wonder, and I've so many similarities I find now when I do research and I'm playing an attorney or a DA or something, and there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
And it was just very clear, and I said, I don't want to do this. That's not my life. I love art, and I love being able to, that unknown factors when you're on set with people, crew included, but if I'm just talking about the actors that you're working with, there's this element of the unknown, which I am thoroughly in love with and even obsessed with. Like, I'm obsessed. So that to me is really beautiful, that there is a science, there's a technical element, and then there's just this very unknown element. Intangible, is that a word? Intangible element?
Yeah.
I think that really attracted me towards it. And I just kind of, once something sits right in me, I just go for it, and you never know what will come out of it.
That's true. That's true. I mean, you're definitely not going to have anything happen if you don't go for it.
And I don't remember which actor it was, but I was laughing so hard because he said, "Look at me." Was it Jack Nicholson? "Look at me, look at me, look at me," can bring you into acting. We all want to perform and shine.
Yes.
So over time, I'd say now it's evolved into just a really cool place to co-create. You're imitating so much, right? And you never know what the other person is going to have in that moment, whatever that truth moment is. So it's a beautiful place to be.
Well, you got to do some stage work with family early, right? You were pretty young with that. So it wasn't like you hadn't been exposed to performing.
Right. I grew up on stage. I was talking to my mother about that, I think a day ago, and we have pictures. She remembered. She's like, "Oh, you would just fall asleep on stage if it got too late, and you and your sister." And we grew up gigging. So I was a percussionist and vocalist, and everybody in my family were all sing-songy dance artsy people.
Yeah.
With also a very, very strong, my father's a double master's in chemistry and MBA. So there is the technical, we joke about it, but Indian, educational side, but we're all very artsy.
Isn't that a great way to grow up? Because if you're in a family where someone in the family is very artistic and stuff, I mean, it lends itself to so many different things.
Sure.
You say artistic, that doesn't necessarily mean that you paint or you draw. It could be a lot of different things. But when you grow up in those type of families, it tends to kind of give you that freedom to explore whatever you'd like to.
Oh, absolutely. And you see the crossover. I grew up singing and performing, and we'd gig and anywhere from festivals to, all the things. And it gave me a lot of presence. So then going into comedy and doing sitcoms, like multicam with an audience and all that, it felt very natural to be in scenarios, because you're used to, if somebody drops a joke or doesn't pick up the cue, or what, you're just very present, because that was, and I didn't even realize till maybe 5, 6 years into studying and auditioning every single day,
Yeah.
that these were little superpower tools that I had to carry with me, which is nice.
Well, once you decided that maybe law wasn't what you wanted to do for the rest of your life, what did you do at that point? Did you join a program? Did you just start auditioning? How did you transition over to acting?
Oh, from saying I don't want to be a lawyer into
Yeah.
this thing. I picked myself stuff up, packed it up, moved to LA, got the stories you hear, got 3 jobs, waitressing and bartending and tutoring and teaching dance and whatever I could do. Yeah. And then, doing background work. That's how I started. We had a dear friend of the family who's a theater actor.
Yeah.
I mentioned to him that I'm doing this, and he was amazing enough to give me 1 credit on IMDb.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. And then that was it. And started doing background, you do the 3 a.m. wake up, show up, do the whole day. And it kind of just, I met somebody else and they said, hey, oh, well, I do martial arts, so you do that. Oh, yeah. Great. I can use you as my assistant on this, project. That led to something else. All of it kind of, the dance, I was a backup dancer for, music artists and doing choreography, and that led to commercial auditions, and it all kind of just ended up working.
Yeah.
I busted my butt.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds a lot. It sounds like a lot with that. But yeah, you got to dance with like all the best performers.
Amazing artists. Yep. Yeah. Got to do music videos, and I worked with, Shakira, did a project with J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez. We did Michael Jackson's one tour.
Yeah.
That's in Vegas. We just Justin Bieber, just great, great artists.
Yeah, that's amazing.
To observe them. Yeah. No, it was great. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Do you still dance?
I do. In my living room.
That's nice.
I do. I find time for it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you never know when you might need that.
You never know. And it's fun, because anything you get too fixated on result based, in my experience, whenever I can turn to music or just play the harmonium, play the kit, the drum set kit, or just to do it for fun. And there's no, what I'm saying? There's no need to get,
right.
I got to book this and it's just fun. It ends up opening some window in my intuition for acting. So it's nice to see. Yeah, it helps.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Well, and if it also is something you enjoy, so it's kind of relaxing to do and stuff, I mean, that's reason enough to do it right there.
Absolutely. Can I share one thing that was really fun?
Please.
So I didn't realize that I listen to people, because I'm originally a rhythmist and a musician. Yeah. I listen to rhythm in every person that I speak to, or even outside, if I'm walking, and since I was a little girl, I would pick that up. So that made the breakdown for comedy scripts. I love doing comedy, as you could tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
It made that breakdown, it just opened up a different, because there's a rhythm, there's a pace.
There absolutely is with comedy. Yeah.
And the phenomenal, directors and writers that I've been fortunate to, work with, they all have their own composition. They all have their own rhythm. And that carried over in a really fun way for me, from drumming and finding that rhythm.
I've never, we've done 600 of these interviews. I've never heard anybody describe it that way, but I love that. Yeah. So you're taking that kind of, innate musical kind of ability and translating that to acting. I've never heard that, but I'm sure that more people do that and just don't even realize that they're doing.
Right. It could be there, just maybe the awareness hasn't popped. And then once you can figure out how to use that awareness as a tool, it brings a lot more clarity to how you approach your work.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
What do you play any instruments besides the drums?
I play the tabla, which is the Indian version. They're two little drums. You play them
Oh
with
yeah,
your
yeah, I've
hand.
seen those.
I play the tabla. I play the harmonium. It's a German-inspired Indian instrument, and it looks like an accordion, but you sit down
Yes,
and there's keys.
I've seen that one too. I didn't know the name, but I have seen that one.
Yeah, I play the harmonium. A lot of other instruments, they were fun, you know, in band. And I tried the flute because my sister played it, but didn't stick. String instruments didn't stick. I'm okay, but they didn't stick. That's not my forte.
Well, I've found most musicians, whatever their main instrument is, they can probably play just about any instrument. Maybe not, real well, but they can play. You can get by.
Yes. Yeah. I have the utmost respect for violinists and guitar players because I've done it and I've tried it and I've spent hours and I'll do it for a part and be in rehearsal. But it's a very different, it's intense if you see, you know, cellists and violinists play and the way their fingers and the sound. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh no, you can't beat a good musician, whatever the instrument is. It's so fun watching somebody that's just really good at what they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not bad. So I think the first thing I remember seeing you in was Revolution.
That was fun.
Which just seems like it just came out and it's been like a decade, right?
Yeah, I think so. J.J. Abrams. We did that in Revolution. We shot, I think, in Wilmington, North Carolina. Love it there. It's beautiful. And I didn't know that people get hit by lightning. And I went outside and would run around in the rain like a crazy person because I love that. But it's beautiful. And yeah, we shot it there. I got to learn how to use a longbow.
Oh, you did?
Cool. We heard, I was.
Well, it's been too long. It's been so long since I watched that, but I seem to remember you with a bow. You got to do that on the show, I guess. So I guess you'd have to learn how to use it.
Oh, and they're great. They're great about that. If you know, most productions I've been on, when you show excitement or willingness and say, "Hey, I legitimately want to learn how to do this. Can we make it happen?" Right away. You know, they had someone on set. We were going maybe
that's awesome.
3 hours a day. It's wonderful. I really liked it.
That's pretty great. But yeah, I was disappointed when that show ended. I thought it was a fun show. You know, it was one of those that if it came out now with all the streamers and stuff, probably still be going.
Right.
You know, it just came out a little too early.
A little too, and he's such a visionary, right?
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams is, he is. So no, it was great. It was fun. I've gotten to do some fun stuff. I know.
I was very happy when I was doing the research and I saw that because I kept in my head, you know how you see somebody in something and you can't remember what it was you saw them in, but you've got the picture in your head. Yeah. And so I could see you in something like that. And I was like, what show was that? And I looked and I was like, oh, Revolution.
And you know, those are my favorites when it's kind of just dirty, less makeup. You know, it's fun and active things that I get to do in shows. I really like those too.
Have you got to use your martial arts in shows? Will they let you do the stunt work?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
They absolutely will. Lethal Weapon, I did.
You were really good on there.
Thank you. It was really fun.
Because you were on there for several episodes.
Yeah, I did. I think that was the last season. Can't remember if it was 3 or 4, the 4th season. But they'd let me do certain things that were reasonable. Yeah. You know. Yeah,
they still got to be careful.
We have to be careful, and it's, you know, you see it all the time. That's also its own art form when you learn how to do stage combat and how to make it look real but not really hurt the person. So yeah, I got to do my fight scenes on the originals. by Julie Plec.
yeah.
It was the offshoot of Vampire Diaries.
Yeah. I just had let's see, Elise Levesque, who was also on the originals on. So I did. So I knew you'd been on that one, and that's another one I watched for a while. It was a good show. And yeah, it was a spinoff.
And the fandom for I had no idea. They're such a dedicated fan base. And they're loyal to the end.
Oh yeah. Well, that's any type of nerdy fantasy, science fiction, horror. You know, the fans. We're not just fans. We're like,
no. You're invested. They're invested. And I loved it to get that much love. You know, coming on to a show as not the regular part of the cast, and then to get such a warm embrace from the supporters. I'm like, oh, this is great.
That's not terrible. That's not terrible. Well, and I watched The Magicians with my stepdaughter. She loves that show, and you popped in on that.
I did pop in. I pop in whenever I can. It's fun. I stay. You never know. It's fun. It's fun to not box yourself in. My manager,
that's right,
Selena, whom I love beyond words, that was one of the first things. We've always been together, and she said, okay, but I see more for you, you know, and I see let's keep exploring and not put you in this one category and then leave it there.
That's right. That
stuck with me. Yeah.
Well, I was trying to think what comedy you had done, but you did do Jane the Virgin.
I did Jane the Virgin. I did about kind of the same deal as you said about the J.J. Abrams show Revolution. I did 2 or 3 pilots over at CBS. I think they were a little maybe before their time, or it's such a gamble, because it can be fantastic and everything moves and the ratings are great, but maybe they only have the budget to push. So I did a couple sitcoms there, Brotherhood, or was it Brotherhood? I should I'll think about it. One was Pandas in New York. I remember that.
Oh, right.
And then with the great director James Burrows, what was the name of that? Brothered Up. Thank you.
Brothered Up.
Buddy cop comedy.
Yeah.
With D.L. Hughley and Adair Gallian and Maren Dungy and myself.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So we do comedy. We did Halfway There. That was a single cam. So yeah, I get to get in there and hopefully make people laugh.
Yeah. Well, you know, we hit that little period probably in the last year or two where it seemed like we were losing all the comedies.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a lot of these comedies have been out for years. We're kind of going off the air, and we had that little gap where we weren't having new stuff kind of filling, you know, those roles. And I was like, oh, we need more comedies, but they're starting to come back out now. You know, there's a lot of stuff on TV now.
Well, and it's kind of this hybrid. There aren't that many, from what I know, there aren't that many traditional sitcoms.
No, we don't really have too many of those anymore.
They're kind of this hybrid of the way they're written, to a bit of single camera comedy, more nuanced and small with the big moments, you know. So that's what I've noticed, but not like we had with Frasier and Seinfeld and you know.
I think you'd be good on like a Friends type of comedy.
Sure. I'd love that. Let's put it out there.
We haven't had one like that in a little while.
We haven't. There's some shows that are doing, I think, fairly well, but the whole dynamic has shifted again with COVID. Yeah. It's ever evolving business. So you see the difference in the work too. Chemistry reads are different from what they used to be.
Well, you're doing the remote auditions and stuff now too.
Yeah, and we're all figuring out this world of how do we feel connected without not being in the screen. So I try to have as much grace with it because we're all figuring it out.
That's right. Everybody's going through it together, so that helps a little.
Totally. Yeah. No one's out here with the magical unicorn horn knowing exactly what's, What's happening?
There's probably a few that think they do.
You brought that right back around. Do you do comedy? People think they can do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. Did I see that you do some voice work?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think the music side, I'm not formally trained in voiceover,
Yeah.
but the music side carried over. I knew what it is to be in a recording booth. I've been in one since I was very young.
Yeah.
That element of it was very familiar. And again, it was one of those, I didn't know what kind of audition I was going on. I show up and it's this big industrial, warehouse looking place. And for those that aren't familiar with the business, that's not typically what an audition room is like. It's a small, regular room like this, and you go in and read, and that's the end of it. I walk into this big warehouse, and there's old parts of what once was a motorcycle with tennis balls hanging off of it. And I said, all right, I've
Okay.
auditioned for some weird things. I don't know what's happening. Come to find out, I had booked it and it was a video game. And so it was motion capture plus voiceover. And I had
That's
a blast.
neat. Yeah, so you got to wear the suit with the motion capture?
Yeah, I did. I played, the first role was a smaller military leader role in they've mostly all been Sony Playstation games.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Order 1883, I was Devi. I loved her.
Oh, yeah.
And then there are a couple other ones.
Well, you did Call of Duty, one of them, right?
The Call of Duty, went in for that. Had to get the languages working. If a lot of them have been, I do it in a different language for them, mixed with English.
Oh, very nice.
And that was
how many languages do you speak?
I speak English. English sometimes. Well,
yeah, me too.
I speak Gujarati. That's my mother tongue.
Oh, nice.
First language. It's an Indian language, and then Hindi. You're usually brought up with Hindi, the national language, and then Spanish. Pretty poorly, but I can hold my own.
That's a useful one. Spanish.
That's a useful one. Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, even if you just understand it but have trouble speaking it, that's pretty helpful.
Sure. Yeah. It's the language part of it, I think, for sure gives you an edge forward in voiceover.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it's not bad. In voiceover, I've always heard is at least as difficult, if not more, to get into than acting is.
Really?
Just like it's a smaller group.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of the same people kind of doing the roles. But once you get in there, you're kind of in.
Yeah. And in that way, very loyal, very tight knit. Once you work with a group of people and they, you just have a great rapport, they've brought me back. The same groups have brought me back to do, other parts and other, so it is tough to break into unless you do it like I did by mistake, which I'd say most of my life.
Have you got to play a lawyer?
Have I? Yes. I was the DA on Lethal Weapon.
Oh, that's right.
Lawyer. Lawyer.
That's right.
Yeah.
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 That's pretty good. Did that help? Did that background help, or what did it matter?
For this show, sure, my character work that I do on my own, yes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it was a procedural, heavily,
right,
language heavy.
It was more on the action side for that.
Action comedy, yeah. It was more on that side, yeah.
Yeah, it was surprisingly funny. They actually did a really good job, because that's not easy adapting a movie that came out years ago into a show.
No, and I'll tell you, it's probably one of the most physically challenging shows that I had, because the pacing, we just moved so quickly.
Oh, right.
And sometimes you're filming 3 episodes on different lots from different time. But I had such a great time. I had a lot of fun. Damon Wayans, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
and Sean William Scott, who I was his, love, and hilarious, pleasant, lovely people. So that made the 18-hour days fly by. I had a really good time. Hilarious, calm, just great energy, and not too finicky.
Those are long days, though.
Long days.
Yeah, but, I would be happy I wasn't a member of the regular cast if they were that long a days. I was like, nah, guest star's fine.
Sure. Well, and my heart always goes out to, as you know, on sets it's a whole village, and there's so many people.
Oh, yeah.
And you talk to the transportation folks, and if we're going 18 hours, they're in 2 hours, 3 hours before.
Right.
And then after they drop the last person off, they're still, so their days are just the amount of effort. That's one huge thing. The amount of effort and hustle on every show that I have been on, I can honestly say, I'm mesmerized by the amount of heart and life people put into what we do.
People work hard.
They do.
That's I'm glad you said that, because we don't give enough credit to kind of the off-camera people. I mean, we'll talk about the director and the showrunner, that type of thing, but you don't, all these other people that make it happen, and they are, they're the first ones there, they're the last ones to leave. It's not like they're getting anything glamorous. Them, they're just out there working.
They're out there, hair, makeup, everybody. They show up and they set up before. If I have a 5 a.m. call time, they're already set up by the time I'm there.
Yeah.
So, we take entertaining people seriously.
Well, I'm glad, because we get a lot of entertainment from it.
Yes.
I'm glad somebody's taking it seriously.
I agree. So yeah, I tend to gain inspiration from all those people on set, internally. And I'm like, well, they've been going for 16 hours. Let's all do it together.
Suck it up.
Yeah. People work hard.
I should have asked, what martial arts do you do?
I did karate and taekwondo.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Very nice.
And I'm trying to learn.
In taekwondo, more of a defensive martial arts?
I would say so. Yeah. Compared to maybe jujitsu, and it's less on the aggressive, more on the defensive. Yeah. And artistic, the choreography and that you learn.
I could see where it would relate a little bit to dance.
Sure.
If you're a good dancer, then you might be a good martial artist.
Sure.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that, but that makes sense to me, because there is some similarities there.
And the discipline too, with dance and martial arts. If you're really committed to be able to go in with your sensei, and you're committed through and through, and it I think was a very strong learning lesson growing up being in martial arts.
Yeah.
Because my sensei would not only, it wasn't just about that hour, 45-minute, class. He would explain how to apply this to the rest of your life growing up, and how you should carry yourself, and with what type of dignity and integrity. So it was a lot in,
Yeah. Well, I like that they all teach that kind of, they don't, you would think going into something where you're learning to fight, that it would teach you to be aggressive, but they don't really do that. They don't teach you to start fights. They teach you to be able to avoid them. But if you're in a situation where you have to defend yourself, you're able to do it.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's pretty good. My godson got his third black belt in karate. Yeah, I know. It just amazes me, because I watched him when he started, and he was terrible. Which everybody is. But they had that thing with the little dummy that looks like a guy, and you're supposed to run up and kick it and stuff, and it was kind of hilarious. But he was terrible. But he stuck with it, and just absolutely loved it. Still doing it.
That's amazing.
He's in college now, still doing it. But
that's so great. So he carried it all the way.
He carried well, and he's teaching now. So he spent his summer in Florida, working at a dojo teaching, younger kids and stuff, and then came back to college. So that's pretty great.
Yeah.
Putting it to use.
Putting it to use.
I wouldn't mess with him now. I'd have messed with him back then, but not now.
Not now. He can sweep and reverse punch probably me into a wall. So I would.
Well, you know what he did. He learned that, got his 3rd black belt, and then in college he became a cheerleader. So then he got all muscled up. Those cheerleaders are pretty strong with the stuff they're doing stuff. So now he's kind of scary. He's the nicest kid though. You
I can imagine.
Once you talk to him, you wouldn't be scared of him. But looking at him, you're like, don't mess with that guy.
No, because now he can flip into a split kick with no issue.
With no issue. Wow, so yeah, I wouldn't even want to roughhouse with him just on the off chance that he accidentally hurts me.
Right.
I was like, maybe go fight your dad.
We're white flagging it here.
Yeah. Well, I'm too old for that stuff. No thanks.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful that he's teaching at a dojo.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty, and he loved it. He did it basically for room and board. He just wanted to go to the beach. So he spent the summer at the beach, but taught there, and I guess they gave him a place to stay and fed him. So he was happy. And
his skill made it happen.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know, you people with the skills. I don't know. What's that like?
I mean, but this is your skill, right? Like we were talking about before we started recording. When you really take a look at it and you pay attention, having a podcast, having so many different people on with different backgrounds and being able to connect and make it a comfortable environment, that is a very underrated EQ. EQ needs to be given more attention. Emotional intelligence is a beautiful
I'm so
thing.
happy you said that. That's because I've always thought it's true. Most people, you say that and they're like, okay. Yeah, sure. It's podcasting is pretty tough. Yeah, okay.
Right. Well, even the art of conversation gets lost over the years. It's not what it used to be.
That's true. I mean, that really is true. We have trouble connecting, and not that this is face to face, but where we can talk to each other. I grew up, you didn't have cell phones. You just had a home phone, but we'd spend hours on there talking to each other on the phone. But now everybody texts. Nobody talks.
It's impersonal.
Yeah. It drives me nuts. I watch the kids, my kids, when they were growing up, they'd have a date over and they'd sit on opposite couches texting each other.
Right.
I'm like, what are you doing?
It's a different, right? I didn't grow up with a cell phone either. Just saying that, I joke with, I just said that to a friend of mine the other day. I'm like, 20 years ago, you had rotary phones. You got excited to come listen to them.
Yeah.
I'm man.
If you wanted to ask a girl out or a guy out, whatever, you had to get through their parents.
Yeah.
Kids don't know that stress.
No. And your dad to turn to you and say, some Romeo's some Romeo is on the phone for you. I'm like, oh God, be red.
Yeah, she's here. Who's this?
It's a different, but there's a beauty of that. You learned how to listen, and you learned how to appreciate somebody's witty nature or their quirks because you're so present with them. You're excited to be talking, and there's less of it. It's not all the time, 24/7. So
no, the good old days.
I started telling my friends, I'm like, oh God, I'm turning into my mother. It's okay. It's okay.
I say that all the time. It's just what happened. Circle of life.
Yeah. So that presence I still find with certain podcasts or people who have a skill to be able to draw out from an artist, or from whoever they're speaking to as a guest on their show. There's a skill set to that,
Yeah.
It's not for me, but I love that you're doing it. It's not.
I don't know that I'm the one you want to use as the example of the skill set, but I do think there is a skill set to it.
Oh, there is. You're fantastic. You're great. I'm very comfortable.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to. You've got to come back. I'd love to talk some more.
Sure.
At some point in the future, maybe when you land the big comedy.
Maybe when I land the big comedy, let's put it out there.
Let's put it out there.
Yeah, I'd love to be back. And I have to ask you.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
Where is your accent from?
Can you guess?
Well, I know it's is it Midwest, Southern?
Yeah, we're kind of in the Midwest, Southern, I'd say.
It's not, it's not Texas, is it?
No, but we do have similar to them, but no, it's actually West Virginia.
West Virginia. Yeah. Oh, because it's not very quick. It's
no. We got a slow draw.
Yeah, it's comforting. It creates a nice pace. I like that.
You know, I always knew I had an accent, but didn't really think much of it until I started doing this podcast. And then I talked to so many people, you know, on the West Coast or out of the country and stuff, and they're like, "Where are you from?"
Where is this from? Your voice invokes a vision of a porch, some tea.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe some iced tea. You know, we put sugar in our tea.
Yes, as do I. I'm there with you. You know, overlooking a nice sunset.
Well, if you've ever been to West Virginia, there's not a ton to do unless you like the outdoors, and then it's wonderful.
Yes.
You know, it is beautiful here. But you know, like if you're a city person, like in LA or Las Vegas, you might get a little bored here.
But have I told you that's how I describe myself is I've been trying to get closer to plants and trees since the 80s.
Well, come on.
I love it. I got to visit there. That's one place I haven't been.
Come visit. We'll show you around. We'll take you to the waterfalls and you can go whitewater rafting.
Yeah.
I don't rock climb. I'm scared of heights, but if you want to, you can do it.
You know, and you'll watch and clap for me and support.
Oh yeah, I'll root for you.
Yeah. Well, it's speaking of waterfalls, Mayor of Kingstown, we shot during COVID. The first season was in Canada, in Toronto.
Oh yeah.
And I hadn't been back to Niagara Falls in probably 20 years. And I went back and it's a beauty of its own. And to see water have this type of force.
It's amazing.
In this form, so I'd love to come to
It's amazing. Well, come on. We'll put you up in the studio. You can just bounce around.
Just go say hello to my trees and
go explore the woods here, because we got a lot of those mountains and woods.
I'd love that. Well, this time when we were filming season 2, we were filming in Pittsburgh.
Oh, well, that's 2.5 hours away from us.
Very close, very close. And I took the chance to do a cross country. I drove. Normally, you know, we fly in, do the thing.
Yeah.
And I drove, and my goodness, there's a lot of just incredible natural beauty in America. Yeah. You know, Missouri and Tennessee. It was beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah. I didn't realize you filmed in Pittsburgh. That's right in our neck of the woods.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
Pittsburgh does a lot of TV and movies.
Yeah, I think so. I feel as though the market there has been increasing with the amount of because there's so much beauty. You know, you go there and so
that's true. That Pennsylvania, especially, there's so many different areas that you can get into to film stuff. So it's pretty great. Great. Well, Nishi, thank you so much. This has been terrific. Loved having you. I was so excited that you were coming on. I was like, "Oh, got to get her on the show." So I sent off to your people, and I was like, "Yeah, we'll see." But they answered, and here you are.
Yes, no, and I'm very happy that I got to be here, and I'm excited too. But I just carry it more like my character Tracy. She's kind of stoic.
Tracy's got a lot on her.
She has a lot of she's
because the guys in her family a little nuts.
Yeah. I love them. They're my crazy family.
Yeah, they're terrific. What a group of actors on that show.
What a cast. And Diane Weiss and Jeremy Renner and Kyle Rich. Action packed.
I know you can go on. Even the smaller roles, really good actors.
Yeah, Nakara, Toby Bamtifa, Rob. Yeah, and each person, it's a different environment when you go onto a set and every person is so seasoned in what they do.
Yeah.
It's an incredible learning opportunity. And I think it changed, helped me grow a lot. So thanks awesome. For having me, and thank you for
please come back. I would love to have you back on. That would be terrific. Or if you come on this end of the country, just holler and we'll do it. We'll do it in studio.
That would be amazing. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Terrific. Really appreciate it.
Well, you're so welcome. Before I let you go, where can we find you on social media?
I'm not great about it, but there's there is a page up and on Instagram, and it's Nishi NISHI _Munshi MUNSHI. Yeah.
I know your name's so fun to say.
Nishi Munshi.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cheerleader. So
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say that's a shout out to my sister. That's my, stage name, and she's the one who came up with it.
Oh.
And it rocked in when nobody knew who the heck I was in casting offices. I guarantee you, I got called in more than a handful of times just because they like to say my name.
Yeah, it's a great name.
I guarantee it.
You tell your sister, she did good.
I will. Maybe not too soon. She might ask for 5%, but I'll tell her eventually.
Maybe after you retire, you can let her know.
Yeah, maybe after, and then it'll be.
By the way,
past the point of it's too late. We can't do anything about it now.
Can't do anything now. Well, Nishi, please do come back. This has been the best. So nice to meet you.
So nice.
Hopefully, we'll get to do it, if not in person, at least by Zoom again next time.
Absolutely, and best of luck to you and your son Brett. And this is fantastic that you do it together as a family.
If you come to visit, I'll take you to the library.
That would be great. I'm a book nerd, so
me too.
You might have to leave me there for a day.
Well, that's okay.
I'd love to.
He runs the children's part of it, which is pretty great. He's just a big kid himself, so
there we go.
Out there, doing he's always the one in the costumes and stuff.
Oh yeah, does he do the children's hours and like readings? Oh, that's one. No, I'd love to go to that.
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's pretty great. Okay, Nishi, hold on 1 second. That was such a big interview for me, Nishi Munshi. Just off camera, we were talking about how fun it is to say her name, and it really is. I absolutely love it. I think she's such a talented actress. I'm sure she's a terrific dancer as well. I mean, you don't dance with Shakira and J-Lo and Justin Bieber and Cirque du Soleil if you're not a good dancer. So I'm sure she's terrific at that too. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Really appreciate you coming back to us again week after week. Definitely don't want to take you for granted. Thank you so much. There's so many podcasts out there. Really appreciate you spending the time with us. If this is your first time with us and you'd like to see more or listen to more, there's a couple easy ways you can support us, and we'd really appreciate it. If you're watching, it's YouTube, MeisterCon Pod. Just hit subscribe. That would really help us out. We'd really appreciate that. If you're listening, wherever you listen to your podcast from, whatever application you're using, just subscribe there. That helps us as well. It's free. We don't ask anything from you, but we take those subscriptions, and that's how we help. It helps us to get guests for the show. And I've said many times on the show, I will put our guests up against any other podcast, talk show, whatever you want. I think we have had absolutely the best guests, and that's why we use those subscriptions to help us get that. So if you liked what you listened to or what you watched, please subscribe so that we can continue to bring great content. We're closing in on episode 550. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to Nishi. She was terrific. Until next time, bye, everybody.